Hey you guys, it's Julian here. Sorry this is another phone video. I've just kind of given up with my laptop. I've tried it on different laptops over this time. Sometimes the audio just doesn't line up with a video, so I just figured this was better. So anyways, this is basically my update on all changes I've experienced over the year and 5 months, almost year and a half that I've been on testosterone. So I'm FTM. I'm gonna try to be kind of concise. Always feel free to leave questions in the comment section. Okay, so first thing, and also I just should say a lot of this stuff I've mentioned in my other videos, but this is kind of a conglomeration of everything. Okay, so one thing is your voice changes, clearly. So I think that probably happened by like week 5 or 6 for me. It just started to change, but it kept getting lower for a little bit. So yeah, and it's pretty stable for a while. Maybe the first few months it might get a little bit lower, but as of now, I feel like it's kind of just stopped changing. Yeah, and I will say again, if your singing voice can be limited, there'll be cracks in your voice as you speak. You'll find ways to, like, those will kind of die down a little bit, but you'll also find ways to speak where your voice won't crack as much. I still manage to crack sometimes. And with singing, it's not like you're gonna have an awful singing voice forever. It's like, their muscles, things have grown, you get your Adam's apple, I can feel it here. It's not super prominent, but you can always work on that, take singing lessons, just keep practicing. Don't strain yourself too much or you can really, really hurt your voice and your vocal cords. That happened to me. But just through practice, I've been able to get pretty far. Let's see if I can give an example. Okay, I'll just do a quick little thing here just to show kind of how my voice has progressed over the months. I know better than to drive you home. So it's very random, but I've come very far. I'm proud that I can do that now. So I'm gonna move on. So body fat, so of course the fat distribution in your body will change. You'll get more, I believe, like on the jaw. That's what will give you the more masculine face. And of course you'll lose a lot off your hips, which is the point. So you'll, drop down in pant sizes by a lot. I found I lost some off my butt as well. Yeah, but in general, I lost a lot of weight, and I don't know if some of that's testosterone, if some's just like becoming more active and then all of a sudden becoming gluten intolerant. I don't know why. Probably a bit from that. I will say testosterone actually kind of caused me to gain some weight initially because I felt hungrier than I actually, I wanted to eat more calories than my body needed. You can always double check that. I feel like I've read that somewhere that can happen. I feel like that happened for me. Go ahead and double check that too. What else? Oh yeah. Emotion. So let's talk about moods and emotions. So people are like, oh, like, women always jump in and say, boys can cry, boys can cry. And, like, it's true. But I think a lot of women and feminists really insist that there are, like, no biological differences between men and women, which is just not true. And it doesn't mean that either gender is, like, better than the other. But it is definitely harder to cry. Sometimes I feel like a robot. Like sometimes I can feel like almost pressure behind my eyes, or I don't know. Like I feel something internally, like but like it just doesn't really want to come out my eyes. It's like a little bit, a little bit of crying constipation there. I feel like something has to be like I have to either meditate on something sad or has to be really painful for me to cry. So it's just harder to cry, but still possible. Yeah, in general, too, I would feel like I would say my emotions feel more stable, less like a roller coaster, and less like I'm gonna fly off the rails. Um, yeah, I just feel more stable. It is kind of hard for me to tell to remember what my emotions were like when I was younger, because the thing is, like, I had some depressive symptoms when I was like 11, but then they went away for high school and then they came back for college. But I guess I would say even in the times when I didn't have depressive symptoms and I felt totally fine, I felt more like my emotions were like, and like I don't really feel that so much more. But I am also medicated, but so I don't know. It's hard to tell. It does make you wonder if the whole women are more emotional thing does have some truth to it, which I feel like it kind of does. Oh, also, I got more muscle in my arms. Again, I feel like that plays into stereotypes of just men being, on average, men being stronger than women, which, of course, it's not always true, but it's like I did get some extra muscle, which has made me able to lift things that a lot of women in my life have trouble with. So there's also that. So I felt like I lost a lot of weight, but then gained the muscle there. Thicker skin. I don't think this really comes up. But yeah, you do get thicker skin. So like I'll find like if I dig my fingernail into my finger and like press as hard as possible to the point where there's like a dent there that doesn't go away for like an hour or whatever, like it really doesn't hurt. But before testosterone, I don't think I could even press my fingernail in that deep before it would like unbearably hurt and I'd be like, I'm gonna cut my finger in half. So there's that. Also, I know my dad sometimes, to give me a hard time over, he'll like poke me in the shoulder and like he does it pretty hard, and like pre-testosterone it really hurt. Like I thought I was gonna bruise. It was just like ridiculous. But now it's like it still is uncomfortable and kind of hurts. I mean, I tell him not to do it, but it does not hurt to the same extent. Let's see, and it explains kind of why when my dad would poke me before when I was female presenting, he'd be like, oh, that doesn't hurt. And like to him, it probably wouldn't hurt because he has thicker skin, because he's a guy. Let's see. Yeah, I talked about the Adam's apple. It's more pronounced now than it was before. Let's see if I can show you that. Hold on. Here, let's see. Okay, I can't really tell if you saw that. Anyways, it's getting more pronounced. Also, okay, this thing's kind of weird. I don't know if there's just like a biological difference that we all subconsciously know about, but we don't consciously know about it. But like, your hands start to look male. At least that seems the way to me. Like, I just remember looking down at my hands, like, a year after being on T and being like, huh, these are male hands. Like, just seeing them detached from me, just like on a desk or something. And like, now I'll keep looking at them and be like, yeah, those are male hands. And I feel like they've gotten more veiny. I have no idea. They just seem that way. But then again, I know there are some trans men who are kind of dysphoric about their hands and feel they look feminine, like Jamie Dodger on YouTube. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a me thing. I don't really know. Oh, sorry. Going back to moods really quick. Probably the first 1 to 3 weeks of starting T, my moods were all over the place. I felt like I was on a roller coaster because you're taking in all these hormones, and hormones make you moody. Remember puberty, you're doing puberty again. So you're like, ah. Also, what sucked is I was like PMSing at the same time I started T, so that was just explosive. It was not good. And then this, I should also say, the average dose for trans men is usually 0.25 milliliters to 0.3 milliliters a week. Don't go above what your doctor recommends. And, like, definitely don't push for a higher dose than that. Like, I mean, you've really got to be mindful, because even though you're like, I want to change soon, it really can mess with your mood. And I've seen other YouTubers talk about it where they became really eager and wanted more, and then it just was not worth it emotionally. So, slow and steady is fine. You'll get there. Don't worry about it. Let's see. What else? Oh, also, so this is more mood related. I feel like I was pretty irritable. I feel like I'm more irritable in general, And I think that the most easily available emotion to me is anger. And like other trans men have talked about having a shorter, what's it called? A shorter fuse. But I honestly feel like I just lost a fuse, and it's just like a room full of gasoline, and just the smallest spark can just make a like I just even just the smallest, most unimportant things can make me mad. And of course, like I'm trying to work on keeping that under control, calming myself down, not yelling, not doing things about it. I also like suffer from anxiety a bit too, so I feel like that plays in, but like definitely like other emotions have been somewhat muted like from what they used to be. I'm not saying like happiness, but definitely sadness is muted, anger is amplified. There's another stereotype that's a little bit confirmed here. Um, yeah. Other random things. Nose hair starts to grow more. Um, so I had to start trimming that a little bit. Totally unexpected. It's not like out of hand, but it's just like, huh. Never had to think twice about that. And I'm like, huh. Am I wishing on an eyelash or a nose hair? So it's another thing. Also, I mean, I'm sure most of you have heard about this already, but you get male hair patterns. So if your family has male pattern hair or hair loss, which would come from your mother's side, you're gonna get that. I'm lucky that I don't have that issue, but I am getting a bit of a widow's peak, kind of. I believe that's what it's called. I did not used to have these major bald spots here. I mean, it's not really bald spot. I think I kind of had something, but now they're more intense, so I'm more aware of it, and I have to, like, squish my hair over it so it looks less weird. So yes, that will happen. I also... I don't know how common this is for how many guys, but like my brother has this and now I have it. I mean, it's developing. Is like long, spiky black, thick hairs are starting to grow here. Very faint right now, but I call them gorilla patches. My brother calls them arm gardens, and it's usually just like a little patch right here. So now I have the disease. Um, so yeah. Let's see. Other social things to keep in mind. Even this far in, I'm still misgendered, like, all the time. It could partly be due to my clothing and accessories, because I still wear a lot of feminine things. So, I mean, if you're a very butch guy, you'll probably do better than me. I'm, like, pretty genderqueer, and sometimes people will, like, let's say I'm at like my work or a craft fair and I made a name tag for myself, my name and pronouns. Sometimes people have come up to me and been like, really, he, him? I would think they, them, because I have kind of a non-binary appearance sometimes. So I don't know. Also, it's like I think with this haircut, if you dress really butch and stuff, it's gonna do you good. But when you wear feminine things, people might think you're a lesbian. I mean, again, not saying all lesbians look like this, but you know the societal assumptions. And even in my mind, it's kind of weird. Is like if I dress butch, then I feel I'm more convincing. But if I'm wearing this and super flamboyant earrings, I start to see myself looking as more lesbian. To be clear, I'm bi. But yeah, so I don't know. So you do have to be aware of that. It's funny, when I did have hair longer that was here, I think I had more of a skater boy look, and I was like not misgendered as much. So it's so weird. I don't know. But then again, like, if you feel you need to, if you work somewhere, make your own badge, add your pronouns. If it doesn't come with the pronouns, add them in, because the amount that it is awkward to put your pronouns on your shirt is like smaller and less important than the amount that it will hurt and make you uncomfortable when someone misgenders you. I promise you that. So really don't worry about wearing your pronouns. I'll also say, so far, thank God, like, well, not thank God for the pandemic, but the pandemic was has been easy on trans people because I've just pretty much been home. But, so I only just used a male public bathroom for the second time, and these were stalls. And luckily both times, like, no one was in there, so I feel like it's not real because it's not, like, the real experience. Or I guess I've used it 3 times. It's not, I'm saying it's not the real experience because I haven't had that fear of, like, oh my god, is someone gonna harass me? So, I don't know. But it's somewhere. I'm still really scared of that. I think I've waited to use public bathrooms that are stalls till I was starting to get more people correctly gendering me. Also, it's like once you get to the point, I think, where you're going to scare women by being in the bathroom, you don't want to do that. Plus, you're kind of disrespecting yourself and your gender if you use the women's bathroom. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'll say that's just how I feel. So it's like, on one hand, it's like, oh, women's bathrooms are cleaner and safer. You might be freaking out the people who are there and, just not affirming your gender. But again, you do what you want. But then again, with the male bathroom, it's like, oh, I don't want to be harassed. So hopefully that won't happen. So let's see, next thing. Another thing too is, like, it can be really frustrating when people misgender you, and I just beg you to be nice to people who do that, because certainly don't hesitate to correct them. Just make sure you do it nicely, because one realization I've kind of come to is the people who incorrectly gender you and the people who correctly gender you are both just making assumptions, and one's just making the correct assumption. So you kind of have to have empathy for people. Once in a while, you'll get someone who's trying to be an asshole to you and just, like, say what gender you should be. When I was at work one day, someone looked squarely at my name tag with my pronouns and then addressed me with Miss. Like, called me Miss Julian, and I was really fucking pissed off. But that's only happened once. Other times, I don't think people have done it intentionally. That's just one thing to be aware of. Okay, so I hope I've been somewhat concise about those things, but said enough that you feel like you've learned something. So now moves into the part where I'm going to talk about more personal things. And I'll issue the same disclaimer, or I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Request, I should say, as in past videos. So if you know me in real life, if you're family, a friend, or acquaintance, do not progress in the video. Otherwise, you'll be breaching my trust. I really don't care for people in my life to know this stuff. It's really personal. But nevertheless, if someone I know somehow finds this video and shows it to other people, it's like, it's not great. But on the other hand, it's like, I mean, can I really be embarrassed? It's just my body. If you ask men what their bodies are like, they're gonna say, like, the same things. So it's like, it's just a fact of life. So, yeah, what can you do? And I'm not gonna not share this stuff because people who are considering transitioning need to know this information. So I'm just gonna go ahead, even though I never talk to anyone about this stuff because it's totally not me. Okay. I'll give you 5 seconds to leave if you know. Okay, so one thing I'm going to talk about is more hair. So you're going to get hair on your butt, on the cheeks, in between, on your thighs. Yeah. I guess I will say on your face if that's common for your family. It's not common for my family. I did just keep shaving my face just to, like, make the hair grow back stronger and angrier, and it has, but it's still, like, transparent, so you can see a little bit of it, not on video, but in person, but it's not super apparent. But yeah, so just so you know, but yeah, if you do have the fortune of that in your family, you might get some facial hair. Yeah, so just expect that hair in unpleasant places. You get used to it. It's not uncomfortable, it's just weird. Okay, and then bottom growth, I know that people really want to know this. Honestly, it's like, if this is what's stopping you from transitioning, just don't worry about it. That was like kind of a sticking point for me. It's like the benefits outweigh the negatives. Some people might see this as a positive and like affirming because it's kind of like you're growing a penis like a little bit. But yeah, and it's like I was worried it would be super uncomfortable, blah blah blah, but it's really not that bad. It can grow like an inch. I've heard several inches, maybe 3 inches. I don't really know the full potential because if you're taking testosterone for your whole rest of your life, I have no idea. Like, I'll say, like, yeah, so I don't know. I would guess maybe like an inch. I don't know. It also grows, but it's not like a weird stringy thing. It like grows in girth too. If you think about it, it's like the male and female reproductive like organs and just genitals, they're very similar in structure. So the clitoris is basically the female equivalent to the penis, and then the bigger vulva, I think they're vulva major or something, are the female equivalent to the male scrotum. So as you take testosterone, the clitoris kind of starts to look kind of penis-like. It's pretty weird. And then the big vulva kind of start to wrinkle, and they almost look like fall under it, almost like it's starting to look like half a scrotum. It's pretty strange, but it makes sense biologically. Um, yeah. What else? This is another thing. So it's interesting how this changes for trans men and trans women. So with trans so women in general, the orgasm happens like all over the body and in the head, and it's all intense. For men, I guess it's more focused on the penis, or whatever you have down there. And so as you take testosterone, it's going to move away from your head and more to that area, And then I've heard the opposite with trans women, that their orgasm starts to move more to their head, which I would argue for like trans men, you're losing something, but I don't know. For cisgender men, maybe it's better if you have because you have like a penis and it's bigger. So I don't know. I don't really want to comment on that too much, but just also, your period stops pretty quickly after starting T. I think it stopped for me after 2 or 3 weeks. Hell yeah. I can't believe I don't have any more. That hell is over. Your libido also spikes. I don't even remember how long it was super strong. I don't know if it's dipped or if I'm just like used to it. I feel like it's not that bad anymore. Um, I don't know. I feel like it got really intense from T, but maybe it's fallen. I don't know because I don't really notice it that much. Yeah, and even though your, clitoris grows really long, it's not like it becomes more sensitive and it's brushing against your legs. So then, I would say it actually feels less sensitive. Yeah, let's see. I think those are the main things. Okay, that is all I can think of for right now. Please leave any questions or comments. I hope this was helpful. I can always elaborate on things. I just, want to try to keep these somewhat brief so that people even bother looking at them, All right. Well, thanks.